This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by Print Management Solutions. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV, tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the church media designer. I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and I am joined every week by my favorite bobbleheaded friends. We got Fred Flintstone, Little Whitey, the miniature version of me. We got Colonel Sanders, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Well, I say this every once in a while. I just want to make sure you guys know that I'm not racist, and my bobblehead is called Little Whitey because my nickname sometimes is Whitey because I'm so, pale and fair-skinned. Just wanted to get that one out of the way just in case anybody was wondering or thinking it. But anyway, the show's not about that this week. This week we actually have more viewer questions. We're talking about upgrading your hardware. We're talking about sorting your videos and what's the best solution for that, as well as we're going to give you guys a ton of great resources and a whole lot more. But the one thing I wanted to let you guys know about is I am heading down to, the Echo Conference, as you can see from my shirt. I will be down there July 28th through the 30th, and I'm actually going to be streaming live. You can find the live stream at ChurchMediaDesign.tv/live or EchoConference.com/live. And there will be times listed on there. Also, you can watch my Twitter feed and check the website just to see if we're going to stream any other times from there that aren't currently listed. But we'll be doing some interviews with breakout speakers, and we'll be interviewing the church panel, which was a great time last year. So there's going to be a whole lot of cool stuff going on. So I want to encourage you guys to participate live online, even if you can't make it there in person. If you are going to be there in person, come find me, say hi, let's hang out, grab some food together, and have a good old time. The other thing that I wanted to let you guys know about is last week we released two different episodes. One on expressions in shape layers and the other one on outdoor streaming solutions and desktop applications. And we've had some really cool discussion going on the outdoor streaming and desktop apps and services you can use that might fit your price range. So go check out the comments below on the episode page. I think you guys are going to find a lot of great info on there. So without further ado, if my favorite bobblehead friends are ready, let's get into it. Well, this week we got a little news for you, and it comes from Vimeo.com. Now, Vimeo is what I use to serve all of my video content. I think it's a great on-demand video player, and they have a plus feature which allows you 5 gigs of upload a week, and now they have just changed it so you get unlimited HD embeds, so you can let people embed your video in any website and they'll be able to watch it in HD no matter where it's at. You don't have to choose anymore. I think this is a really smart move on Vimeo's side. YouTube is free and it allows you to do this. I just hate the YouTube player. I hate the crappy content that gets associated with my content, and so I really enjoy Vimeo because it's a lot more professional across the board, and you pay for that professionalism. It is $60 a year. We can check out, they've gone from 1K to 5K to 25K to unlimited. So I think it's an awesome deal. So if you're looking for an on-demand or a way to show videos on your church website, this is a great way. Vimeo Plus, they'll let you customize the player and how it looks and what buttons it does or doesn't have. And so you can really make it look like your own. So I just wanted to let you guys know about it. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think you will be too if you're using it. So check out Vimeo.com. Well, let's reach into the stockpile and grab some great resources for you and your church. And the first one is from Hillsong. Hillsong just had their yearly annual, I was thinking national, annual Hillsong conference. And I know it's a huge deal for them, and people come from all over the world. I would love to make it there someday. But right after that, or during that, they actually just launched Hillsong Collected, which is kind of a resource blog for churches and people in churches. And so they had Collected, they have Leadership, And so they have articles on leadership. They have creative, which is all from their creative team, and one for another. And I think this is about serving and that sort of thing. So in the creative one, actually you'll see in there making of church news and that sort of thing that we've featured on the show in the past. But one that they're working on right now is telling stories through film. And I think this is a great article, and it's just the first part. I can't wait for the rest of them to come out. So this site has a ton of great articles and information that you could use. So I want you guys to check that one out. The next one is from ISO 50, who is a musician slash artist, and interesting little article that was posted on here about 5D Mark II ruined by a laser. And you can see this video right now, and you'll see this laser go, and then all of a sudden it'll hit the camera twice and it will leave a line in the camera. And what happened is lasers actually, when they hit your retina, they can actually damage your retina, and the sensor on your camera is much like your retina. And so you can see there's a little article here from the International Laser Display Association, and it talks about how when they do large concerts that they try to keep lasers away from cameras as well as projectors, because it can ruin both of them. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you're using lasers in your auditorium or you're out shooting event photography someplace that has a laser, be careful, because you can ruin your camera. So I thought that was an interesting one I wanted to bring to your attention. Well, the next one's from Chris Spooner over at Spoon Graphics, blog.spoongraphics.co.uk. Whole lot of dots and a whole lot of words, but it's a great website. And he actually just posted another tutorial how to give your photos a cool retro analog effect, much like you can get iPhone applications that do this for you, where they put a little weird coloring and kind of lights burning in on the edges, and you got a nice cool fire retro effect. So it's a great tutorial that shows you how to do this inside Photoshop without any third party anything. So I thought that was a pretty cool one. And the last one, well, Magic Bullet, which is from Red Giant Software, which is maker of every single plugin you can think of, or at least they own the companies that make the plugins. They just released Colorista 2, which is a great coloring plugin, and well, let the video speak for itself. So as you can see, it's a great plugin. You can do so much with it. It's so full-featured. I think it's a great coloring plugin. I like it much better than Magic Bullet. I don't own either, but I love that this one isn't just a drop-and-go kind of thing. This is you getting really custom effects and making your own quality looks and being able to do your own quality effects throughout videos. So check out Colorista 2, we got the tutorial from Spoon Graphics, we got Hillsong Collected, and last but not least, don't ruin your 5D Mark II, because, well, that would be a bad idea. So those are some resources for you and your church. Well, before we move on, let's say thank you to our sponsor of Print Management Solutions. You can find out more at their website, but basically it comes down to, do you want to save money? And we're going to be talking a little bit more about print in the future here, and how I'm continually using this printer to save us a bunch of money. We just did a mass mailing to our church. 300 postcards were sent out, and it cost us all of $10 to do it in full color, and they look great. So I want to encourage you guys to check out Print Management Solutions. You can sign up on the website. They'll get in touch with you and figure out what's best for your church. So whether it would be a printer with a management package where all of your ink and toner, all maintenance, all of that is included in the price, Or maybe you just need to get ink and toner, or maybe you just need to lease a printer instead of buying one. They'll figure out what's best for your church, what size printer, and what's going to meet your needs. So check out ChurchMediaDesign.tv. Well, this week we're going to talk about computer hardware as well as managing your video library. And our first question comes from Sean, and he asks, Brad, thanks for all you do in the help of production end of church ministry. Hopefully you can help me figure out how to speed up rendering times in After Effects. I've heard of Cineform and a few cards that give hardware-based advantages, but most are a little out of my budget. Any suggestions? I'm currently running Windows 7 CS4 and a 3 GHz AMD dual core with 4 gigs of RAM and an NVIDIA 220 card. I don't mind spending more to upgrade any of the above, but unsure of what makes the biggest per dollar difference with render time in After Effects. Thanks, Sean. Well, Sean, I just recently built a new computer, and for those of you who have been asking, you're like, well, Brad, you abandoned your PC for a Mac. I've not abandoned anything. I've always used both, but I currently built a brand new PC, and that's what I use at the office. I use a Mac laptop to do the show because it's just easier to move around, and that's what I use when I'm on the road as well. So my new tower actually is a i7 930 processor, 8-core processor. I have 12 gigs of Corsair RAM in it. I have an 80 gig Intel solid state hard drive that all of my operating system and all my programs are on. I have two Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drives for internal storage, as well as I have a PNY graphics card that is part of Adobe CS5's new hardware accelerated graphics card line, is the best way to put it. So as far as your question about speeding up render times, the render times prior to CS5 all came down to RAM, how much RAM and how fast your processor was. I'm not a big AMD guy. I don't think their processors give you as great of performance as a Intel processor does. I know that, pound for pound, they can be very similar, but for the price, I don't think you're going to lose with a i7 processor. Now, you can't upgrade to an Intel processor when you have an AMD one because you'll have to buy a whole new motherboard. So that would require you buying a whole new computer. Now, few tips. 64-bit operating system will allow you to utilize as much RAM as you possibly could use. There is a limitation, but it's way up there in the thousands of gigs, I think. If you're running a 32-bit operating system, it'll only utilize, 2.5 gigs, 3 gigs of RAM maximum. It can't even see 4 gigs. After Effects, however, can make render instances of itself per core. So you can use up to 2 gigs of RAM per instance per core. So let's say you're running a dual core processor, you can have 2 instances of After Effects running in CS4 and CS3. And each one of those instances will be able to utilize about 2 gigs of RAM. So that's a good thing for you. Now, once you get a better processor, you step up to an i7 and you get 8 cores of processing power in CS4 or CS5, and you run a 64-bit operating system, you can utilize, 12 gigs of RAM per instance or per core. So, you could be running, 48 gigs of RAM on just 12 gigs per core. So you can start getting a lot of RAM usage in there. So your biggest bang for your buck is get as much RAM as you possibly can. RAM is super cheap these days. Make sure you have a 64-bit operating system. So run Windows 7 64. Vista was a big pile of poo, so don't use that. Make sure Snow Leopard is actually running in 64-bit because it doesn't always do it natively. So make sure if you're on OS 10 that you're running Snow Leopard and it's 64-bit native. And then make sure your applications are 64-bit. Currently, the Final Cut Suite is not 64-bit native. However, the new CS5 Production Premium is 64-bit native across the board. The next thing that you can do is with, let's say, CS5, you can get a graphics card that will do hardware accelerated rendering. And this comes in most inside Premiere. You can do things, there's a whole list of effects that you can do, but you can do sharpening and levels and actually keying, and you can do curves and a whole lot of other adjustments, all hardware accelerated via your graphics processor. And actually, if we head over to Adobe's website, they have system requirements for Premiere Pro CS5. And down here, they have a list of graphics cards that work for all of these deals. So we have the Quattro CX, the Quattro FX 38, the Quattro FX 48, 58, and the GTX 285. Now, I'm using the GeForce GTX 285 because it was the cheapest card. It's just under $300. All these other cards are way more expensive, and Adobe said that all of the cards perform the exact same way. It's using the CUDA core inside those graphics cards, and that's what it needs to do all of these effects. Doesn't matter which card you get, they all do the same exact thing. So you're not going to get a performance increase necessarily from any of the other cards. You might see a little bit of fluctuation here and there, but it's not going to be much. So for most of you, you can just grab that GTX 285. It's Windows and Mac compatible, and throw that in there, and you're going to see huge performance gains in CS5. And that's CS5 only, and they said they're going to continue to add graphics cards in the future, and I know that they're going to keep working to make this happen in the future. As far as After Effects goes, you're not going to see a big render increase for that graphics card inside After Effects. What you will see, however, is an increase in your H.264 render times with that graphics card. The new Adobe Media Encoder in CS5 does hardware accelerated H.264 encoding. So now you're getting increased H.264 encode times, and they're awesome, and you're really going to notice the difference there. But as far as just working inside AE, the more RAM and the faster your processor, the better off you're going to be. Also, I would suggest flipping down to half quality or quarter quality when you're previewing, and preview every other frame. If you do Shift and 0 on the number pad, that'll do every other frame instead of 0 on the number pad. That will preview every frame. Then you kick your quality down a little bit while you're just messing around, and you'll be able to see significantly faster render times. So those are my big things. I encourage you guys to check out CS5. It is awesome. I absolutely love it. I would not recommend any other software as highly as I recommend CS5. It is a great production suite. Well, our next question comes in video, so let's check this out.
Hey Brad, my name is Eddie and I live in Asheville, and yes, I am laying on my bed. I have a question for you. In your opinion and experience, what is the best way to organize loops and videos and stilled images? We just got the new playback hard drive, and we just want to add on to our library of loops, and we really never got into loops until a few months ago, so we've compiled so many and we really don't know how to sort them out. Is there a way that you've come up with that would really help us and your viewers to organize our loops, and just so we can make it easier for our volunteers and people to find and sort through all the many loops that we come up with? Anyway, thanks. Bye.
Well, thanks for the question, Eddie. As far as organizing your loops go, there's so many different ways you can do this. Now, it's really cool to hear that you picked up that playback hard drive. There's so much great content on there. Again, I want to encourage you guys to check that out. I think it's a great bang for your buck, and you can find that over at Orange Thread Media's website. But as far as organizing all of that stuff, I think it's best left to do that inside the program. Now, you could do this on your machine and have folders of all of the different types and all that sort of thing. But that doesn't really apply to the place that your volunteers and you are sitting and working on all of it. So inside Pro Presenter, you can see here, I get the video and image bin open up here, and I have 187 different videos here. And what you can see is you have your background and foreground bin, and in the backgrounds they just all get loaded in here, and usually they're loaded in alphabetically when you throw them in. And what I would suggest you do is you go through and you set up types. Now this comes down to personal preference on some of this stuff, but I think it'll make it easier on you in the end. Right now I currently have, particles, I have some snow ones, I have fast moving clouds, Jesus/cross ones, kaleidoscope, stained glass, real, abstract, or star fields, abstract, and bokeh. And you can see that the abstract one is huge, and it's actually probably a little bit too big. It's nice to be able to see these subcategories and be able to, okay, I know that I'm going to be able to pull up some sort of cross imagery or Jesus imagery when I go to that background, or I need some clouds or some smoke, and so you'll instantly find those in that category. So that's a great way to start breaking it down. If you guys are highly color driven, that you're doing, all of your lighting schemes and your backgrounds work together, you might want to do it that way for your church and set up, okay, these are all done in reds, these are all done in oranges. But the main categories I would stick with are fast, medium, and slow. And the reason that I say this is because a lot of times you want the background to add to the energy of the song. So what you could do in here is we could go and add a new folder. So we can add a fast folder, and inside the fast folder we could take and move, instead of just having one playlist, we could move this playlist inside here, and we could rename this playlist, let's say, maybe particles. Or we could name it a color, so maybe we want this to be purple. And so this is all of the purple fast stuff, and then we would move these other three out of here, and we would just have the purple things that are fast. And then we go to our medium tempo, and then we can have all of the other things. But the biggest key to the picture is to make it so it works for your volunteers and you, that it makes sense. I personally know what real means. I know that it's real footage that I shot, that is, realistic backgrounds. And so I know, hey, I want this to have, I want to show the wonder and the awe of nature, not some abstract imagery. I want to show real life. So I know that I can find it in that folder. So you can start setting up some of those folders. Also, you could do it the exact opposite way, where you make a folder of realistic backgrounds, and then inside that folder you have fast and slow, because maybe you don't have fast and slow for all of these different types. So there's a few different ways that you can do that, and maybe you want to limit it to just fast and slow and get rid of medium, and just have those two different styles. But it really comes in that, how are you using your backgrounds? Are you using them to emphasize the mood of the music? Well, then organize your library that way. But at the end of the day, I would say it's better to organize inside your presentation software versus organizing inside your operating system. I think it's just easier to have a backgrounds folder and just chuck all the backgrounds in there. You may, if there's, for whatever reason, you may want to keep, like all the backgrounds you got from a certain place in certain folders. That might be a little easier for you, but again, you're not running those files from your operating system, you're running them from this specific software. So organize them in the software, don't worry as much about the operating system. Hopefully that helped you out, and hopefully that helped Sean out as well. If you guys have any questions you want to have answered on the show, you can send me an email or submit a video to the easiest way is to YouTube or Vimeo, and we can grab those there. Actually, the easiest way is just to upload a video to your website and send me a link to the file. Try and keep the questions around a minute, and then let me ramble for a really, really long time. Oh, that sounds horrible. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, make sure to submit them. You can send me an email, brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv. So hopefully we helped you guys out. Well, let's give you guys some inspiration. And this one is just pure fun because Well, another Tron Legacy trailer came out, and I just love the styling of this. And after seeing this trailer, I am absolutely sold on seeing this movie. Maybe you have the exact opposite opinion, but I think it's awesome. So check out Tron Legacy.
And I kept dreaming of this world I thought I'd never see. And then one day, something happened. Something extraordinary.
What was it?
That's gonna have to wait till next time.
Encom CEO Kevin Flynn was reported missing today. He was last seen at his home with his son, Sam.
Sam, I was paged last night. Page came from your dad's office at the arcade. That number's been disconnected for 20 years.
Hey, Dad. This isn't happening. Who are you? Dad. I'm not your father, Sam. And I'm very, very happy to see you.
What am I supposed to do?
Somebody. Your father was the creator.
Where do I find him?
Make it there alive, and he'll find you. Here they come!
Your move, Flynn. Come on.
Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Church Media Design TV. If you guys have any questions or you want to submit a question, you can find me in a million different places. Actually, both of these guys found me on Facebook, so you can find me facebook.com/bradley.zimmerman. You can find me at twitter.com/CMDTV. You can email me, brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv. You can leave a comment on the episode page at the website. Those are the best ways to stay in touch. Hopefully we've helped you guys out. Also, make sure to go over to the website, check out the live page, join me at the Echo Conference, send me questions, annoy me while I'm trying to do interviews, distract me, whatever you may want to do. I'll be down in Dallas, Texas, and if you're there in person, come find me. I'd love to hang out and talk with you there. So as for me and my favorite bobbleheaded friends, we're saying, see you in Dallas.